EdTech has obviously been a big winner during COVID-19. So much so there's already questions being raised that will we ever go back to schools and colleges the way we were at before COVID? Is a hybrid model the future, even when there is a vaccine and even when this pandemic comes to an end? These are the questions I'm going to be discussing with Coursera. Now, Coursera, headquartered out of the United States, is one of the largest apps in the world when it comes to higher education. So if you all don't know about it, you can actually log on and do an Ivy League course. You can learn machine learning from Stanford. You can do a business course from Wharton. You can also, do some hobby-related courses as well, literature and all of that. I'm going to be discussing the future of education and EdTech with Raghav Gupta. He's the Managing Director for India and APAC at Coursera. Raghav, thanks so much for joining us here. My first question to you is, with EdTech being a big winner in India, have you seen a big boom for Coursera? Have you had many more users coming onto Coursera signing up?
So many sectors, the education space has gone through massive changes in the last 6 months or so. And the lives of the learners that we, serve, whether they be students in colleges, whether they be working professionals, or whether they be an individual who wants to learn something, have changed quite significantly. And we've been very fortunate to be able to serve them through all of this. So yes, clearly a lot has changed in the EdTech space in the last 6 months.
Okay, but give me an idea of how many more users you've added in India. Just trying to assess, whether the demand has also been for higher education.
Yeah, so depending on who an individual is, we have different platforms. And I think what you're referring to is our consumer platform, where an individual can come and learn on the Coursera platform. India is the second largest market after the US. And when we started 2020, there were 5 million registered learners on our platform. And that number went up very significantly to about 9 million learners as of now in India. We've also seen both existing learners and new learners take a lot of learning on the Coursera platform, especially from when the lockdown started. And globally, our usage went up over March and April by about 650%. In India, we saw this usage go up by close to 1400%. So both in terms of new individuals coming to the Coursera platform to learn, and also a combination of existing learners and new learners taking a lot of content on our platform, we've seen significant growth there.
Okay, so you've seen a big boom. Can you tell us what were the more popular courses during the lockdown in India on Coursera? What did you see the demand for?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the Coursera platform, when one talks about the shorter courses, which are MOOCs and specializations, there are almost 4,500 courses that are available from the world's top universities and companies. And these courses, we break them up into 11 domains, different areas. The main usage has been in 3 domains, I would say. And a 4th got added earlier this year as well. So these have been in the areas of business, technology, and data science. In technology, in data science, because a lot of businesses have gone digital, individuals are looking to develop digital skills, they're looking to develop data science skills as well. Also because, personal wellness has been a matter of concern, a matter which has been top of mind for many of us. Our healthcare content, our personal wellness content has also seen a significant amount of increase. And so those will be the broad areas over the last 6 months or so that we've seen very significant usage.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you, Raghav, to name them. You told us what kind of courses have done well, but for all those that are tuning in, what's selling the most on Coursera? What's the most popular course? Tell us a few of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we look at, our top 10 courses fairly regularly. And the broad domains of these top 10 courses are along the lines of what I was just mentioning. But just very specifically, There's a course called Programming for Everybody, Getting Started with Python from the University of Michigan. That's in the top 10. There's machine learning from Stanford University. There's writing professional emails in English, so a communication course as well, which is in the top 10. There is AI for Everyone, which is from Coursera's co-founder, Andrew Ng. And for business professionals, for non-technical people to understand how to think about artificial intelligence in today's world, this is an excellent course for that. There's also Financial Markets, a course by Dr. Robert Schiller, who teaches from Yale University. He's a Nobel Prize laureate in economics, and continues to be a very strong course. And then the last one I'll mention is Learning How to Learn by Dr. Barbara Oakley, which continues to be actually a very popular course as well. So these would be some of the top 10 courses that we've seen in India in the last couple of months.
Now, what we've also seen during the lockdown is world famous professors, Ivy League professors come out with free YouTube tutorials. You can literally just go on their YouTube channel and learn for free. I don't know how that's going to ultimately disrupt the Harvards and the Whartons and the Stanfords of this world, but surely that would have impacted Coursera too. Why would anybody come on your platform when they can go for a live class or sign up for that YouTube class?
Yeah, overall, I think we are seeing a massive shift, towards online education, Nayantara. And this could be individuals, this could be companies who are training their employees, these could be colleges and universities as well. As all of us know, campuses have been shut since mid-March, and it doesn't look like they'll open for the rest of this year. So in general, there's been a shift to online education. In some cases in campuses, faculty have started teaching online using tools like Zoom and Teams and so on. In other cases, like you rightly said, faculty have also put up content online. From a Coursera perspective, like I was sharing, because the kind of education that individuals want, companies want, has shifted dramatically, we've been going through this massive growth spurt, like I mentioned, 1400% on our consumer platform in India and so on.
So are you also saying that you didn't need to reprice these courses during the pandemic? What I had before the lockdown is what I would pay today?
Of course, I think if you look at the penetration of online education in the higher education space, many reports tell us that pre-COVID, the usage was anywhere between 2 to 4%, 5%. So there's still a lot of transition to online that we will see going forward in the future. Government of India used to allow 20% of what a student is learning on campus to be delivered using online content. And then just right before the NEP, right after the NEP, that was increased actually to 40% in terms of what an on-campus student is learning as well. But even all of that being said, we will still see a lot of increase in the usage of online in general in education.
Okay, so can you tell me about any interesting data insights that you've done from your analysis on that surge of traffic? For example, I want to know if you are in the higher education business. Is it young professionals who have decided to come on to Coursera? You said you have 4 million new Indian users signing on. Are they younger professionals? Are they those in mid-career? Are they primarily from the metros, or are they also in the smaller towns?
So I would say 2-3 broad trends, and I'm sharing this from across our different platforms because, like I said, there is our consumer platform. There is also Coursera for Business, Coursera for Governments, and Coursera for Campus. The age range tends to be fairly wide on our platform. It goes from anywhere around 18 years upwards to 45. Of course, the average age in India is younger than we see elsewhere in the world by about 2-3 years. And I think that's a function of just the demographic of the country. We see possibly more people in India taking content which helps them with careers, as opposed to general interest learning, which might be happening in some of the other developed countries as well. So, more people would be taking technology content on Coursera, or possibly business content or data science content. And then in our learner feedback, the third thing that we hear is career impact is very important for learners who come to Coursera. And so what they're looking for is content which is relevant from their career standpoint, but they're also looking for content which comes with a strong credential. And when that credential is coming from a top university like Michigan or Yale or Imperial College, then learners see a lot of value in that. And we see a lot of actually individuals in India sharing that feedback with us, that that's something that matters to them. So I think those would be probably some of the trends that we've been seeing.
Okay, so those are the trends that you've seen, the kind of professionals and the age brackets that are logging on. Can you now explain to us, and all those tuning in and who are still wondering, should they sign on? Should they also pay for the certification? What is the best way for someone to use Coursera?
I think a good starting point is to know what are you trying to achieve, right? An individual may come to our consumer platform to look at short form content, get introduced to artificial intelligence, which you can do in a 10, 12-hour course. Or you may want to come and learn supply chain management, which is a 5-6 month certificate program. Or as an individual, you may say, listen, my business is slow, work is going to be slow for the next 1 to 2 years. Let me come and take a master's from a top institution like University of Pennsylvania or somebody like that. So a good starting point is to know what are you looking to do. And then depending on what your objectives are, our consumer platform can provide a lot of guidance. I have seen people who come in saying, I'm an accountant today, and I want to move into the data science stream. So my starting point, which is A, is accountant, and I want to go to a point B, which is a data analyst. And then our platform will recommend, based on who you are today, where you want to go, what are some of those MOOC courses and specializations that you should take. Similarly, if you're looking to take a full degree on our platform, then again, we have counselors who will guide you in terms of what are the relevant degrees that you should be looking at. So I would say, and also it's probably helpful to call out, if you are an individual who's never taken content online, it's very easy to come onto Coursera and actually try out one of the free courses. Learning how to learn is always a popular course, just to understand how, as human beings, we learn, how the human brain works, and what are some good tricks and tips for learning as well. So I would say thinking about some of those areas and thinking about it in this perspective is important. The one additional thing I would add is personal discipline is important when you're taking learning online as well. And so possibly planning time and saying, I'm going to spend X amount of time per week, and actually blocking time on your diary or your calendar is also possibly a good habit to be thinking about.
Okay, so that's the best ways for someone to use Coursera. Now let's talk about your other aspect of the business, and I'm sure that's the high margin, more volume part of the business. I'm talking about the enterprise business. What kind of companies in India have decided to use Coursera, and for what kind of courses are they doing it? Are these old economy companies? Are you seeing startups also looking at this as a way of upskilling?
Yeah, so we have a platform called Coursera for Business, and the objective of Coursera for Business is to work with companies who are seeing massive changes in technology. Of course, COVID has accelerated all of this, and I would say especially in the areas of digital and data, COVID has accelerated this. Coursera for Business is today used by about 2,500 organizations. And these are some stellar organizations in India. So we work with Axis Bank, for example, in the banking space, where as a bank to get people ready for digital, people ready for data, even softer skills like leadership in a virtual world or working in a team in a virtual world are some of the relevant skills that companies are building. Similarly, Tata Communications, as a part of the Tata Group, is looking to build skills of the future for their employees in the telecom space on the Coursera platform. And then we also work with manufacturing companies and automotive companies. So Ashok Leyland, as an example, in the auto space, is an organization that is looking to build skills in their employees. I would say the broad theme that we have seen, which is quite relevant for companies to be thinking about, is one, digital, second, data, and third, working or personal skills in a virtual kind of a work environment. Work from home is going to continue for a while. And how do you develop those team working skills, leadership skills, and so on and so forth, collaboration skills, and how do you do some of that virtually as well.
Okay, so you have made inroads. You have seen whether it's Tata Communications or Ashok Leyland, etc., sign up on Coursera to upskill their employees. Before I let you go, Raghav, so like I said, I asked you in a very different way that you've seen some of the world's most famous, most renowned professors teach online. They're doing it for free on YouTube. They're doing it on Coursera platform. And the new normal of EdTech is going to stay going forward, I would imagine. Now, if I get used to learning from the best by not paying top dollar, why will I continue to go overseas to study? What do you see as the future of education? Do you see the world ever going back to the good old college days?
Yeah, you mentioned campuses are shut as well, and I think I should mention here. So our platform, which is Coursera for Campus, we wanted to support universities and colleges when they started, locking down from mid-March. And we launched an initiative which we called Coursera's Response to Coronavirus, C4CV as an abbreviation. Basically, we made about 3,800 courses available to all colleges and universities in the country. And obviously, higher education in India is quite large, close to 45,000 colleges and so on and so forth. And we've seen actually massive uptake happening. So as on date today, there are 7 lakh students in India who've been learning on the Coursera platform for free for the last 5 to 6 months. They've been taking courses from some of the world's top universities. The feedback that we've been receiving has been really, really fantastic. And these have been across about 2,000 plus unique colleges and universities as well. My sense is that, of course, the changes that have happened are a little bit like, toothpaste out of a tube that you can never put it back. So I think we will see a situation going forward where even on campuses, we will not go back to 100% teaching happening on campus ever, possibly. Currently, of course, everything is happening online, but we may go back to a situation where possibly 60%, 70% goes back to on-campus teaching, and maybe 30%, 40% stays online. And I think the role of the campus, the role of the teacher is going to change as well. And, if a faculty member is also using online content from platforms like Coursera as a part of what they're teaching to their students, their role will change also to a mentor, to a facilitator, to somebody who's not just teaching, but enabling their students to learn via a lot of practical examples as well. So yes, I think this is a permanent change, I think to an extent that we are seeing that we will see going forward as well.
So a hybrid model is what it seems to be the consensus. Thanks, Raghav, for joining us right here on this edition of Startup Central. That's Coursera for you, ladies and gentlemen. Has seen a tremendous rise in India, second largest market outside of the United States. Nearly 4 million Indians started using Coursera for the very first time when the pandemic hit. Well, let's move on. While we're talking about the pandemic, if you're in a city that allows in dining, have you been to a restaurant? Were you comfortable being served? How far away did you sit from the other diners? Well, guess what? In Japan very soon, instead of waiters, imagine a robot serving you at restaurants. That's exactly what Servi, the robot, will be doing, bringing you to the table, all your food and drinks that you've ordered, and also clearing up the table for you. This SoftBank's robotics arm plans to bring a food service named Servi as restaurants grapple in Japan with labor shortages and social distancing thanks to COVID. Developed by California headquartered Bear Robotics, Servi will act as a sort of waiter, using its layers of trays to carry food and drinks. And its 3D cameras and sensors will navigate between the kitchen, the diners, and the tables. It'll be priced at $950 a month, excluding tax. That's for a 3-year plan. Servi has already been tested by Japanese restaurants. The startup first showed a prototype to SoftBank chief Masayoshi Son last year, and SoftBank led a $32 million round of investments in January. This launch leverages SoftBank's long experience in bringing overseas technology to Japan, but also reflects the shift away from Sony's earlier focus on humanoid robots. SoftBank's humanoid Pepper robot became the face of the company following the 2014 unveiling, but it failed to capture a global customer base. SoftBank also owns Boston Dynamics that developed the four-legged robot Spot. But today it's about Servi, and is this going to be the future of dining? I'm not 28, but what I can tell you is that when I was 28, I didn't ever even think that I could ever be a billionaire. I still don't think I can be a billionaire. But our next feature is on America's newest and youngest billionaire, and he's going to do it at the age of 28. An average 28-year-old is a few years into his or her job, just happy perhaps with a promotion, not even 30 yet, let me just put it politely. But Massachusetts-born Thomas Healy, 28 years old, is on the verge of becoming America's youngest self-made billionaire. No biggie, you say? Well, after competing at a national level for racing cars and go-karting, Healy learned the mechanics behind the machine. He became the man behind the machine and began devising electric drivetrains in his dorm room at Carnegie Mellon. He went on to found heavy-duty electric car company Hyliion and developed the e-axle. That's an electrified axle powered by lithium-ion batteries that can be incorporated into the drivetrain of a traditional Class 8 long-haul truck. It's all paid off because Tortoise Acquisition Group will vote today to acquire Hyliion, pumping it with $560 million in cash, give it 161 million pro forma shares. The implied equity market capitalization of the new Hyliion comes to an impressive $6.7 billion. Healy will be the biggest shareholder with a 22.9% stake in the company, and he'll be worth nearly $1.5 billion. While there are already trucks that run on compressed natural gas, Hyliion's powertrain offers more horsepower and torque and promises from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 20 seconds. I don't know what's about electric trucks and their promoters these days, but what we can also tell you is Healy's supposed to be not as flashy as Elon Musk or Nikola's former CEO, Trevor Milton. That's an impressive story, isn't it? 28 years old and very soon going to be worth $1.5 billion. Let's take a short commercial break. But on the other side, we'll head to UAE and figure out that all the startups that have spent big bucks on the IPL, has it paid off? What's the brand recall after the first couple of matches? Stay tuned.